Chapter 5. The Thought Factor in Achievement. All that you achieve and all that you fail to achieve is the direct result of your own thoughts. We live in a justly ordered universe, and you are individually responsible for your own life. Your weakness and strength, purity and impurity are your own and not another's. They are brought about by yourself and not by another, and they can only be altered by yourself, never by another. Your condition is also your own and not another's. Your suffering and your happiness are evolved from within. As you think, so you become. As you continue to think, so you remain. A strong person cannot help a weaker person unless that weaker one is willing to be helped. And even then, the weak person must become strong for themselves. They must, by their own effort, develop the strength which they admire in another. None but themselves can alter their condition. This is to say, you are the only one that can actually change your life and circumstances. It has been typical for people to think and say, many men are slaves because one is an oppressor. Let us hate the oppressor. And also, there's a few with a tendency to reverse this judgment and say, one man is an oppressor because many are slaves. Let us despise the slaves. The truth is that oppressor and slave are cooperators in ignorance, and while seeming to afflict each other, are in reality afflicting themselves. A perfect knowledge perceives the action of law in the weakness of the oppressed and the misapplied power of the oppressor. A perfect love, seeing the suffering which both states entail, condemns neither. A perfect compassion embraces both oppressor and oppressed. He who has conquered weakness and has put away all selfish thoughts belongs neither to oppressor nor oppressed. He is free. You can only rise, conquer, and achieve by lifting up your own thoughts. You can only remain weak, defeated, and miserable by refusing to lift up your own thoughts. Before a person can achieve anything substantial, even in worldly things, they must lift their thoughts above their animal indulgence. You do not, in order to succeed, give up all animality and selfishness by any means, but a portion of it must at least be sacrificed. If your first thought is towards indulgences of the flesh, you cannot think clearly, nor plan methodically. You will not find and develop your latent resources and will fail in any undertaking. Until you begin to intentionally and manfully govern your own thought, you are not in a position to control affairs and to adopt serious responsibilities. You are not yet fit to act independently and stand alone, but you are only limited by the thoughts which you are choosing to focus upon. There can be no progress, no achievement without sacrifice, and your worldly success will be in the measure that you sacrifice your confused animal thoughts and fix your mind on the development of your plans and ideals by intention and design, which will strengthen your abilities and self-reliance. And the higher you lift your thoughts, the more divine, upright, and spiritually evolved you become. The greater will be your successes, the more blessed and enduring will be your achievements. The universe does not favor the greedy, the dishonest, or the vicious. Although on the mere surface it may sometimes appear to do so, it helps the honest, the generous, and the virtuous. All the great teachers of the ages have declared this in varying forms, and to prove it and know it, all you must do is persist in making yourself more and more virtuous by lifting up your thoughts. Intellectual achievements are the result of thought consecrated to the search for knowledge, or for the beautiful and true in life and nature. Such achievements may be sometimes connected with vanity and ambition, but they are not the outcome of those characteristics. They are the natural outgrowth of long and sustained effort and of pure and unselfish thoughts. Spiritual achievements are the consummation of holy aspirations. If you live constantly in the attention of noble and lofty thoughts, if you dwell upon all that is right and beneficial in the world, you will, as surely as the sun rises and the moon becomes full, become wise and noble in character and rise into a position of influence and blessedness. Achievement, of whatever kind, is the crown of effort, the jewel of thought. By the aid of self-control, determination, clarity, service, positive intentions, and well-directed thought, a person ascends. By the aid of animality, laziness, anger, worry, and confusion of thought, a person descends. It's possible that some may rise to high success in the world and even to lofty altitudes in the spiritual realm, and again descend into weakness and wretchedness by allowing arrogant, selfish, and corrupt thoughts to take possession of their mind. Victories attained by right thought can only be maintained by watchfulness. Many give way to their productive habits when success becomes assured and rapidly fall back into failure. All achievements, whether in the business, intellectual, or spiritual world, are the results of definitely directed thought and are governed by the same law and are of the same method. The only difference lies in the objectives of attainment. To accomplish very little, you must put forth very little effort. If you are to achieve much, you must put forth much effort. And to attain highly, you must be prepared to devote yourself entirely. Chapter 6. Visions and Ideals. The dreamers are the saviors of the world. As the visible world is sustained by the invisible, so are we, through our trials, challenges, and sordid vocations, nourished by the beautiful visions of our solitary dreamers. Humanity cannot forget its dreamers. It cannot let their ideals fade and die. It lives in them. It knows them as the realities which it shall one day see and know. Writer, musician, director, actor, architect, inventor, painter, poet, prophet, sage. These are the makers of the afterworld, the architects of heaven. The world is beautiful because they have lived. Without them, laboring humanity would perish. If you will cherish a beautiful vision, a lofty ideal in your heart, you will one day realize it. Columbus cherished a vision of another world, and he discovered it. Copernicus fostered the vision of a multiplicity of worlds in a wider universe, and he revealed it. Buddha beheld the vision of a spiritual world of stainless beauty and perfect peace, and he entered into it. Cherish your visions. Cherish your ideals. Cherish the music that stirs in your heart, the beauty that forms in your mind, the loveliness that drapes your purest thoughts. For out of them will grow all delightful conditions, all heavenly environment. Of these, if you but remain true to them, your world will at last be built. To desire is to obtain. To aspire is to achieve. Shall man's basest desires receive the fullest measure of gratification, and his purest aspirations starve for lack of sustenance? Such is not the law, nor could it ever be. Remember, ask, and it is given. Seek, and ye shall find. Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so shall you become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you shall at last unveil. The greatest achievement was at first, and for a time, only a dream. The oak sleeps in the acorn, the bird waits in the egg, and in the highest vision of the soul, a waking angel stirs. Dreams are the seedlings of realities. Your circumstances may be unpleasant, but they shall not long remain so if you but perceive an ideal and strive to reach it. You cannot travel within and stand still without. Here is a youth, hard-pressed by poverty and labor, confined by long hours in an unhealthy workshop, unschooled and lacking all the arts of refinement, but he dreams of better things. He thinks of intelligence, of refinement, of grace and beauty. He conceives of, mentally builds up an ideal condition of life. The vision of a wider liberty and a larger scope takes possession of him. Unrest urges him to action. and he utilizes all his spare time and means, small though they are, to the development of his latent powers and resources. Very soon, so altered has his mind become that the workshop can no longer hold him. It has become so out of harmony with his mentality that it falls out of his life as a garment is cast aside, and with the growth of opportunities which fit the scope of his expanding powers, he passes out of it forever. Years later, we see this youth as a full-grown man. We find him a master of certain forces of the mind which he wields with worldwide influence and almost unequaled power. In his hands he holds the cords of gigantic responsibilities. He speaks, and lo, lives are changed. Men and women hang upon his words and remold their characters, and, sun-like, he becomes the fixed and luminous center round which innumerable destinies revolve. He has realized the vision of his youth. He has become one with his ideal. And you, too, youthful listener, will realize the vision, not the idle wish, of your heart. Be it base or beautiful, or a mixture of both. For you will always gravitate towards that which you secretly most love. Into your hands will be placed the exact results of your own thoughts. You will receive that which you earn, no more, no less. Whatever your present environment may be, you will fall, remain, or rise with your thoughts, your vision, and your ideals. You will become as small as your controlling desire, as great as your dominant aspiration. The thoughtless, the ignorant, and the lazy, seeing only the apparent effects of things and not the things themselves, talk of luck, of fortune and chance. Seeing a man grow rich, they say, "How lucky he is." Observing another become intellectual, they exclaim, "How highly favored he is." And noting the saintly character and wide influence of another, they remark, "How chance has helped him at every turn." They do not see the trials and failures and struggles which these men have voluntarily encountered in order to gain their experience, have no knowledge of the sacrifices that they have made, of the undaunted efforts they have put forth, of the faith they have exercised, that they might overcome the apparently insurmountable and realize the vision of their heart. They do not know the darkness and the heartaches. They only see the light and joy and call it luck. They do not see the long and arduous journey, but only behold the pleasant goal and call it good fortune. Do not understand the process, but only perceive the result and call it chance. In all human affairs, there are efforts and there are results, and the strength of the effort is the measure of the result. Chance is not a gift. Gifts, powers, material, intellectual, and spiritual possessions are the fruits of effort. They are thoughts completed, objectives accomplished, visions realized. The vision that you glorify in your mind, the ideal that you enthrone in your heart, this you will build your life by. This you will become.